Hello. Hi, this is Coach Ulysses coming to you again with basic instruction on how to play the game of chess. I hope you've been enjoying these videos, and today we're going to be working on openings and board awareness. Uh, I would like to work on board awareness first because I found out that it is extremely important that we look at the board and see how our pieces travel and understand the way they travel. Those are the squares that they control, that they have influence over, that they can capture pieces that travel on the same diagonal or horizontal or vertical. So I want you to see how important that this subject is, board awareness. It has really helped my students in the past. So let's take a look. If we have the queen in the center of the board, I want you to see how many squares that it affects. Okay. Queen in the center of the board, your most powerful piece. Anything that travels on its pathway, it has the right to capture it. Doesn't have to capture it, but it does have the right to capture it because it has influence over that diagonal or file or rank. Okay? So the squares that are moving horizontally, those are ranks. This is rank 8, rank 7, rank 6, and so on to rank 1. And wherever the queen is, if you look at it, it's on rank 5 right now because I have chess notations on my board. You could pick up a board like this online, and it really will help you to understand um, where to put the pieces at and to record games. So the queen is in the center of the board. This queen has control of this diagonal here. You see that right coming right down the center, right? The light squares right here because it's on the light squares. It has control over this diagonal. See that? It has control over this rank, and it has control over the D file. See that? This entire file. So when you're playing chess, you're looking to find where your opponent's pieces get placed on squares that your chess pieces control. And that's how you connect the dots. And you can understand and you can see if your opponent has moved on a square that you can capture that piece or attack that piece. All right. So, for instance, let's say I have this rook here, and let's just pretend that kings are on the board because I just want you to be able to see this well. Okay. Let's say it's my move, it's my turn. So I'm looking at the board, and in chess, you're going to have all your pieces on the board. And so that means you got to check every direction that your piece can move in and follow it with your eyes to see if any of your opponent's pieces landed on your pieces' squares that they challenge, that they have influence over, that they are controlling. Okay, so now we're getting into the mind of a chess player now. I'm trying to help you to connect the dots so that when you start playing chess, you will see that, oh, my opponent moved um, his or her piece on a square that I can control, that I'm in total control over so I can capture their piece. The more pieces that you capture of your opponent, it makes it more difficult for them to launch an attack against you, and it makes it more difficult for them to defend an attack against you. Okay? So we look here. Let's say you're playing the white pieces and you're looking at the board and you're looking at your pieces. Let's even pretend that there's other pieces on the board and you find it. Oh, look at that. My queen, my queen is on the same diagonal as my opponent and it's my turn. See, that's when you can do a lot of damage in your opponent's territory when it's your turn. That's when you can capture. That's when you can capture a piece. That's when you can start an attack when it's your turn. Okay, so we see that the queen, it lines up diagonally with this rook. So if it's your turn, you have control over this entire diagonal, and that rook's on your diagonal. You can capture that piece. Okay, now I want to show you something with board awareness. Now, board awareness says, I realize that I can capture this rook. I realize I can capture that rook. But the next question, which activates board awareness, is that rook protected? Now you're understanding the mind of a chess player and how the game is played. Because you can just take any of your pieces and go and capture something, and that piece might be protected. You might lose your queen to a pawn that was protected. That's only worth 1 point. Why would you want to lose your queen, right? to uh, a pawn that's only worth 1, and your queen is worth 9 points. Okay, so you know the piece you want to pick up and use, but now you have to say to yourself, is that rook unprotected? Or is it protected? Okay. Now we see here, when you're doing board awareness, you're saying, okay, is there something over here protecting this rook? You got to look this way, right? To see if there's something here protecting that rook. You have to look this way, right? See anything protecting this rook here? No. How about here? No. How about here? No. Right? So now you can capture that rook. You always want to make sure before you capture a piece, find out, is that piece protected? If that piece is not protected, we call that a hanging piece, and you can capture hanging pieces. Show you something. Same example. Lines up, right? What if you didn't look and there's a rook here? And you say, oh, you just zero in on the piece you want to capture, but not what's going on the board to find out if that piece is protected. Oh, look at that, a free rook. And wrong answer. Because now it's your opponent's turn. You just captured your opponent's rook, right? Guess what? It's your opponent's turn now. Look at their rook in the opposite corner. Bye-bye, queen. That's what board awareness is all about. So Another example. It's your turn. You're looking at this rook. This rook is staring you in the face. You're looking at that rook. You should look, is there anything here that's protecting it? If the queen is here, it's protecting this rook. Not only you see that? It's protecting it, right? Even though that the queen is attacking your queen, if you wanted to take this rook, because you have plans, I wouldn't take it because I would lose my queen because it is protected by, this rook is protected by the queen. See that? That's what you have to look at. Let's do this. I'll just put a king on for the sake of it. Okay. I have to look to the rook. Okay. Both of my pieces line up together. My queen and my opponent's rook is on the same rank. All right. Can I capture that? Is it safe to do so? So I even have to look, even though the rook moves horizontal and vertical, there might be another piece protecting it on a diagonal, right? So I'm looking to see. So I look and I look in this diagonal. Oh, look at the bishop here. So if I go over and capture that rook, that is protected because I use board awareness to find out, is it protected? I'm going to lose my queen. Look. And the queen comes out of nowhere. Bam. You lose your queen. I'm helping you not to lose your queen or any other piece because you're going to, before you actually pick up the piece, and you already know in your mind the piece that you want to capture, you're going to think about, is that piece protected? And if it's protected, then you got to rework your plan. Is it worth taking the piece? Still could be worth taking it. You might have mate set up in about 2 moves or something like that. All right. But we see here that it's not safe to capture this rook because we found a bishop here protecting it. Our pieces can protect other pieces in chess. All right. So if we take, look, rook takes us. Okay. Now, is the rook being protected now? Is there anything on this diagonal that's protecting it? Is there anything here horizontal? Vertical, protecting it? Is there a pawn protecting it? That can trip you up sometimes too, because pawns, not only do pawns capture diagonally, but they protect any piece that's of theirs that's diagonal to it. So look, here, and black pieces are going down this way. They're moving this way, and the white pieces are moving this way, okay? So here, I wouldn't be able to capture this rook because this rook is protected. Look, if I come over, capture the rook, now the pawn can capture me. See that? I'll show you this way. Okay. Let's say you're playing on this side of the board and you're playing the black pieces, right? So I have to even look even behind my piece, behind your opponent's piece sometimes, because behind your opponent's piece might be protected. See that? Perfect example on a diagonal. A pawn protecting a rook, and I have to look behind that rook to see, is there anything protecting it? Is anything over here protecting it? No, there's nothing there protecting it. Is there anything on this square protecting the rook? A bishop or a queen? No. But I see, oh, look at this pawn behind the rook on the same diagonal. That's how pawns protect your pieces. Okay. This pawn actually has a job. It is protecting this rook. So if I decide to capture this rook, look at the pawn. Now the pawn is going to capture my queen. Once you begin to connect the dots with board awareness, your game is going to really explode. It is going to increase because you're not going to just pick up pieces and capture things. All right, you're going to think about it. All right. Another example. I'll put it here. Is it safe for me to go over here and capture that rook? You know what you have to do. Board awareness kicks in. I want to capture that rook, but it's so easy in chess to get tunnel vision. And that's what really destroys your game when you get tunnel vision. I'm trying to show you. Never get tunnel vision. You don't want tunnel vision in chess because you will not progress. All right. You want to have board awareness. Now, I'm looking at this queen attacking this bishop on this diagonal. Is it safe for me to capture that rook? No. Look at the rook here. So once I look at this, I'm not going to get the tunnel vision. I'm going to look around. See anything from this direction protecting it? Is there anything from this direction? Oh, wow, look at that. Rooks can protect rooks. Rooks can protect rooks because they move in the same pathway, horizontal and vertical. So rooks can protect each other. The only piece that cannot protect each other are bishops because they are on different color squares. Okay, so here in this example, if I go over and capture this rook, guess what? Your opponent's turn and they say, ha ha, give me your queen. It's just that simple. I'll show you with a different piece. Knights are sneaky, very, very sneaky. All right, knights are very sneaky. Always remember, knights are very sneaky. All right. You have a knight here in the center of the board. You have a rook here. This knight is attacking that rook because that's the way the knight moves. 1, 2, hook. See that? 1, 2, hook. All right. So that's important. You got to make sure. So now let's say, for instance, let's say the knight is yours, okay? And you want to capture that rook. You have to look. Is there anything over here protecting that rook? Is there anything here protecting that rook on the diagonal? Is there anything down here? Right? This rook is protecting this rook. This is not the example really I want to really show because if this knight is yours, you're going to definitely want to go after that rook, even though the rook takes you, because the rook is worth more. Okay. So let's put another knight here. Let's do it that way. Okay. So if this knight is yours, you're looking, you got to even look down here. No tunnel vision. Board awareness wipes away tunnel vision. Tunnel vision is no good for chess. You must look at where your pieces are. Okay. So now this knight, if I was to come over, if it's white's turn, and if I was to come over and capture this knight, I find out it's protected. I'm going to lose my knight. Look at that. Look, rook comes up, takes. Just that simple. Just that simple. Same thing with pawns. Same thing with pawns. You're looking at this. Well, you want to take that pawn, but you look and see, oh, wait a minute. Two pawns diagonal with each other, so that pawn in the back is protecting the pawn in the front of that diagonal. So if my rook comes up and takes the pawn, guess what? My opponent's going to take my rook. They just took a piece off. They just ripped off a piece that was worth five points, and this pawn is only worth one. That's not a good bargain, right? So you basically have an idea now of board awareness. You know the piece that you want to pick up and capture or place it somewhere, but you got to check it out. Same thing. Let's say I have a queen here, right? Let's put it here. And I have a knight here. Should I go after this knight? No. Look at the queen on the same rank as that knight. If I go over and capture that knight, the queen is coming over to capture me. See that? Show you another example. How about this one? Maybe I'll turn the board around so you can see it better. Okay. Take a look at this one. This is your queen. You say, hey, look at that knight on the same diagonal as my queen. I'm thinking about taking it. Should you? Look at that pawn. The pawn is right there, waiting for you to take that knight. You take the knight, now you're going to lose your queen because the pawn captures on a diagonal. That's how your pawns protect your pieces. The same way they capture pieces on a diagonal. Well, I'll go this way. Yes. They also protect. That pawn is protecting that knight. This pawn is protecting this rook. I'll even use mine. Bishops and pawns work excellent together. They work excellent together. This bishop is protecting this pawn is protecting that bishop. See that? This rook was mine, and I came over, captured that pawn. Oh, I didn't use board awareness. Look at that. Bishop right here. Bang. Just like that. Okay? All right. That's it for board awareness. I'm going to show you a quick opening. We have time for a quick opening, and then that's going to be it for today. Right? I will teach you castling. That's how to protect your king. Always remember, it's something important. That's a subject that we haven't talked about castling. I might have made mention of it though, about castling, protecting your king. Okay. Now, what's important in the opening, when you have all your pieces on the board, right? I do want to recommend to you to buy a paperback book by the name of Bobby Fischer Teaches Chess. It's a small paperback book. It's about $7. Excellent. It's one of the best. It is one of the best teaching chess books that you can buy. Okay, Bobby Fischer teaches chess. I notice I'll give a shout out. Um, Borders Books in Lake Grove has an excellent, um, and I'm not even getting paid for this, but I'm just saying that Borders Books in Lake Grove, Long Island, has an excellent um, chess, uh, have excellent chess books there. They have a large selection of chess books, the most that I've seen anywhere. Okay, so that's just okay. Borders, you got your free advertisement there. Call me. Okay, all right. Now, what you want to remember in the opening, you want to control the center. The only way your bishops get into the game, you have to move a pawn. That's the only way they can get into the game. Knights are different. Knights are different. They can just hop right into the game because knights can jump over pieces, right? They can just come into the game like that, right? They can just hop in. They just hop right over the pieces, okay? But your bishops can't. So in the opening, don't be afraid to move your pawn that's in front of your king forward. Don't be afraid because your opponent can't come in and checkmate you on the first move. You don't have to worry about that. You have too many pieces here for your opponent to get to your king this quick. Don't ever worry about moving the pawn in front of your king up two spaces. All right? Your opponent might want to do it, right? Right? So now he brings out his pawn and now he's blocking your pawn. So you say, okay, I can immediately attack that pawn by bringing my knight into the game. Because look, 1, 2, hook. Now you're attacking that pawn. So your opponent says, you know what? I'm going to protect that pawn. Brings his knight out, right? So now his knight is protecting that pawn in the center. You want to bring your bishop out. You want to get your pieces into the game as quickly as possible, as smooth as possible. All right? So let's say your opponent makes a move here. All right? Okay. Now, I'll show you castling. The king is here. The rook is here, right? The knight has already entered the game. The bishop has already entered the game. You can castle. This is what castling is. It's a special move. You pick up your king, you move it 1, 2. Space is over, and then you slide your rook over. That's castling. Okay? We'll go over that, and we'll go over some more things on our next video. But today I would like to say to you, have a great day, and always remember what Grandmaster Emanuel Lasker said, when you find a good move, look for a better one. Bye.